The film opens with disturbing sounds of insects chirring and crows calling. A traumatic scene unfolds involving a young boy and a dying horse, with the boy screaming, "No!" as the horse wheezes and cries out. A man's voice narrates about the emptiness that comes when someone you love dies, how you'll know what it is to be completely and utterly alone, and that you will never forget and never forgive. The story shifts to present day with roguish electronic music and trains rumbling. Zadie frantically calls her friend Shelly, revealing she showed the video to someone and thinks they found out. She's panicked about their safety and wants to leave town immediately with Shelly and Dom. Zadie has sent Shelly a disturbing video that Dom shot, showing a man saying, "Hey, Shelly," to a woman who protests, "Oh, stop," before screaming in apparent distress. Zadie believes it's not safe for them anymore and thinks someone is following her. During their phone conversation, a mysterious woman appears and greets Zadie by name, saying, "There were other options, Zadie. I wish you'd talk to me first." The line goes dead as Zadie is presumably killed. Shelly tries calling Dom, but only reaches his voicemail, explaining that Zadie has lost her fucking mind and sent the video. Shelly is arrested at what appears to be a train station by police who identify her as a 1050 female in her 20s. She's taken to a rehabilitation facility where the rules are strict: group therapy, no phones, no talking after dark, and no fraternizing with male patients. The facility focuses on confronting past traumas through group therapy sessions. During one session involving Eric, inmates taunt him with questions like, "Say something," and "What are you going to do about it?" referencing his inability to stand up for himself and asking about his parents. Eric appears traumatized and unresponsive. A therapist explains that the exercises are meant to help patients move past destructive behaviors like drug use, which allows them to hide their pain. The therapist quotes Hemingway, "The world breaks everyone, and afterwards many are strong at the broken places. But those that will not break, it kills." Shelly meets Eric in the facility dining area. Other inmates don't like them sitting together due to rules about men and women not fraternizing. Shelly compliments Eric's tattoo, which reads, "Laugh now, cry later." Eric explains it reflects how things have been playing out for him, while Shelly says, for her, it's more like cry now, cry later. Shelly tells Eric a deliberately bad joke. What kind of tea is hard to drink? Reality. Despite its poor quality, this moment establishes their connection. Eric is called away for group therapy, and they exchange names before parting. The group therapy sessions involve stepping into circles based on shared traumatic experiences, being forced into silence, being blamed for everything wrong, being abandoned or manipulated by those meant to protect them, and finally, being ready to look forward to good things in life. Eric and Shelly's relationship develops as he discovers her writing, which he finds beautiful and suggests could be set to music. When asked if he plays music, Eric responds that he used to. Shelly suggests they could play together sometime, and when asked what brought him to the facility, Eric says, "Everything just finally caught up with me." Shelly receives notice of visitors, which alarms her since no one knows she's there. Eric investigates and reports they look like lawyers, but when Shelly sees them, she recognizes them as the dangerous people she's been hiding from. She becomes panicked, insisting, "They can't find me here. If they find me here, I'm fucked." Staff begin searching for patient 005, IDing Shelly, tracking her through the facility's system. Eric helps her escape by showing her windows that lead to the yard and helping remove her tracking device, which emits beeping sounds as they work to disable it. Their escape is set to Joy Division's Disorder, with lyrics about waiting for a guide and seeking the pleasures of a normal life. Eric declares, "Think we fucking did it," as they successfully flee the facility, with Eric whooping in celebration. However, Shelly warns him to slow down, concerned about who those people were. When Eric asks about the visitors, Shelly cryptically refers to them as a former life, and Eric acknowledges having one of those himself. Eric takes Shelly to his friend's apartment. The friend lives in Antigua and lets Eric crash there sometimes. The luxurious space provides them sanctuary. When Shelly asks, "What now?" Eric explains they'll hide there for a while, then hide somewhere else, admitting it's not much of a plan, but maintaining it's a good plan. Their romantic relationship deepens. Shelly teases Eric about needing a shower, and they share intimate moments. During pillow talk, Shelly asks what Eric first liked about her, and he describes an aura that feels powerful. Eric says he thought she was quite brilliantly broken. When Shelly asks about the worst thing Eric has ever done, he jokes that he once escaped rehab with a complete fucking degenerate, calling it probably the best thing he's ever done. They share wine, Lamb of God, and dance to Fall by The Bug, featuring Inga Copeland. In a crucial moment, Shelly asks Eric to promise something. "If I'm ever hard to love, try to love me harder." This promise becomes central to the story's themes. Eric discovers Shelly can play piano beautifully. When he encourages her to play, she initially resists, then performs a melancholy piece. However, the music triggers disturbing memories, jarring, overlapping sounds, and demonic whispering that cause her to stop abruptly. Shelly reveals her tragic backstory. Piano was her whole life, and she loved playing, but her mother twisted it, pushing her into performing at inappropriate venues when she was too young. She was exposed to things she shouldn't have seen, and hurt people as a result. This trauma caused her to stop playing. Eric comforts her, and she expresses fear that if he knew what she'd done, he'd leave her, and if he left, she'd die. Eric responds that if he left her, he'd already be dead. They discuss starting over and escaping anywhere together. In a pivotal conversation, Shelly asks if Eric would jump with her if she jumped, and he confirms he would. They fantasize about angsty teens building shrines for them, but instead of cigarettes and whiskey, Shelly wants a sea of white lilies. This image of white lilies becomes symbolically important. While at a club enjoying electronic dance music, Dom finds Shelly and desperately tries to warn her. He reveals that Zadie is dead and insists they need to leave town immediately. Shelly refuses to leave without Eric, but Dom is frantic, emphasizing the danger they're in. Returning to the apartment, Eric and Shelly are ambushed in the elevator by armed men. Despite Eric's pleas and attempts to fight them off, both he and Shelly are brutally murdered. Eric watches helplessly as Shelly dies, and he follows shortly after, wheezing laboriously before his breathing stops. Eric awakens in a desolate landscape with crows cawing. A mysterious figure explains that people once believed when someone dies, a crow carries their soul to the land of the dead. However, when something terrible happens, a terrible sadness is carried with it, and the soul cannot rest. Eric initially thinks this is a nightmare and tries to deny the reality of his situation. The mysterious figure tells him there's nothing there but here, and suggests he try to wake up if he believes it's a dream. The mysterious figure explains that Eric can put the wrong things right. The people who killed Eric and Shelly made a deal with the devil to gain eternal life by sending innocent souls to hell, disrupting the natural balance. Eric is offered the chance to kill them all and get their lives back. When Eric asked if he could get Shelly back, the figure confirms this is possible. Eric learns that while his body cannot die and can heal, he can still feel pain. Crucially, his immortality depends on his love remaining pure. Eric returns to life and seeks out his friend, asking for weapons. His friend is shocked to see him, as everyone thought he was dead. Eric cryptically confirms everyone was right before requesting a gun.
Eric visits Sophia, Shelly's mother, introducing himself as her daughter's friend. He asks who was after Shelly and why they came for her, having seen Sophia with the people who killed her. When Sophia claims Shelly died of an overdose, Eric reveals he was there and knows the truth. Eric declares his love for Shelly and his intention to kill everyone responsible to bring her back. Sophia, heartbroken, insists her daughter is gone and won't return, pleading with Eric to leave her alone in her grief.
Eric tracks down and confronts the first killer, playing Gary Newman's M.E. The killer recognizes Eric, shocked that he's alive. Eric demands names of everyone they work for. When the killer refuses to cooperate, Eric kills him, but not before learning some information. During this encounter, Eric is shot but heals rapidly, confirming his supernatural abilities. However, the healing process is painful, involving bones crunching and cracking back into place. Through his investigation, Eric learns about Vincent Rogue, the central figure behind the conspiracy. Dom, before his death, explains that Rogue used to host parties where he thought it was just easy to score drugs, but that shit got so dark. Dom describes Rogue as having a supernatural voice that burrows inside you and finds the darkest parts of your soul and gives them a voice until people do evil things. Dom reveals he still hears this voice and wouldn't have made the damning video if he'd known what would happen. Dom explains that Shelly had the video hidden on her phone and didn't want anyone to see it. He tried to warn her to leave, but she wouldn't abandon Eric. Dom expresses regret for his failures and thanks Eric before seemingly accepting his fate. Eric recovers Shelly's phone and watches the complete video that started everything. The footage shows a disturbing scene where Shelly appears to be involved in or witness to a brutal act of violence against another woman. The video shows the woman screaming, blood everywhere, and Zadie asking, "What did you do to her?" The victim appears to be dying as Zadie and others panic. This revelation devastates Eric as he realizes Shelly was involved in something truly terrible. The discovery shakes his faith in her and his pure love, which proves catastrophic for his supernatural abilities. During a subsequent confrontation, Eric's healing abilities fail him at a crucial moment because doubt has crept into his love for Shelly. He's killed again, returning to the afterlife where the mysterious figure explains his failure. The figure reveals that the enemy of love is not hate, it's doubt. Eric's questioning of whether he could still love Shelly after seeing what she'd done caused him to lose his pure love and, consequently, his power. As a result, Eric has lost his chance, and Shelly's soul is condemned to eternal damnation. Faced with the choice between his own peaceful eternity and Shelly's damnation, Eric makes the ultimate sacrifice. He offers his soul in exchange for hers, knowing that even if he saves her, they will never be together again. The mysterious figure warns Eric about the unimaginable horrors that await him, but Eric's decision is firm. It's not about me. Even when told he will never be with Shelly again, Eric accepts this fate.
Eric undergoes a profound transformation, his blood turning black as he gains the ability to move between worlds, just like them. This change marks his permanent separation from the possibility of redemption, but grants him the power needed to complete his mission.
Now transformed, Eric systematically hunts down everyone involved in their deaths. He tracks Marion, Vincent's lieutenant, and other conspirators. The hunt is methodical and brutal, with Eric using his supernatural abilities to overcome various henchmen and operatives. Eric infiltrates an opera house where Vincent Rogue is attending a performance of Robert Le Diable. Set against dramatic operatic music, Eric engages in a brutal battle with numerous security personnel and henchmen throughout the venue. The sequence is choreographed to the opera's dramatic crescendos, with Eric moving through the theater, systematically eliminating threats.
Audience members flee in terror as the violence unfolds around the continuing performance. Eric confronts Marion during this sequence, demanding to know Vincent's location. Marion reveals that Vincent has retreated to his country estate, Hillhurst Manor, before Eric kills her. Marion's final words reflect on how corruption starts small, but inevitably consumes everything. Noting that Eric has the same look of self-hatred as Vincent, just hidden less well.
At Vincent Rogue's country estate, Eric faces the immortal figure responsible for everything. Vincent appears as an elderly man, but claims to be real, flesh and blood, unlike Eric's supernatural state. Vincent attempts to break Eric's resolve through psychological manipulation, emphasizing how Eric has been corrupted by hate rather than motivated by love. He shows Eric the damning video again, taunting him about Shelly's participation in violence and questioning whether she's worth eternal damnation. Vincent argues that Eric has no love left, only hate, and asks why Shelly would want to be with what Eric has become. He describes Eric's transformed appearance, his eyes and face reflecting the darkness he's embraced. Despite Vincent's manipulation, Eric finds strength in his memories of Shelly. When Vincent calls Shelly some fucking whore, Eric's love proves stronger than the corruption. Drawing on Shelly's request to love me harder when she's difficult to love, and remembering all their intimate moments together, Eric overcomes Vincent's psychological assault. In the final battle, Eric brutally kills Vincent, completing his supernatural mission. The destruction of Vincent breaks the demonic contract that bound souls to hell. With Vincent dead, Shelly is returned to life, awakening as if from a terrible nightmare about falling. She's confused and disoriented, believing she had almost lost Eric. Eric explains what he's done, that she gets to return to life, but he cannot join her because his sacrifice was permanent. Eric tells Shelly he would do it all again, all of it, every moment, for their love. They share a final goodbye with Eric expressing his eternal love. A mysterious figure, possibly the same entity from the afterlife, appears and tells Shelly that Eric fought hard for you. Shelly is heartbroken, realizing the magnitude of Eric's sacrifice. The mysterious figure helps guide her back to life, while Eric must face his eternal punishment. The film concludes with Eric's philosophical reflections on love and sacrifice. He acknowledges that their love will live on through everything Shelly does in her restored life. While they cannot be together, Eric believes that someday their souls will find each other again. Until that distant reunion, Eric holds on to the memory of loving her, that perfect sensation of loving her. He concludes that, while this memory isn't quite enough to compensate for eternal damnation, it's almost enough. The final scenes are accompanied by What Went Down by Foles, with lyrics about burying hearts and guilt and seeing lions when looking at people. The song reinforces themes of transformation, loss, and the price of love.